Gator Dave. After some technical difficulties, we are live or for our final preview show of the 2026 season. We are 1 week away from talking our week 0 against the spread games. Back to your regular scheduled programming. How you doing, sir?
I am well, Mike, and happy to be here. Welcome to all those rolling in the chat. And like you said, man, we're this is it for all the pre stuff, the preseason shows, all that stuff. We're gonna wrap it up with the top 25 playoff teams, our winners, the Heisman hopefuls. I want to remind everybody we'll bet Utopia in one location for all things sports betting. I'm Gator Dave. That's Miami Mike. Don't forget our live shows each and every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. and our podcast found on Spotify, Apple, and any major podcast location. Also, a nice reminder, a little please, like, subscribe, hit the bell, turn on notifications. We'd love to have you, and listen to that podcast. Um, we're live now. After the show, pods will drop, and you can catch us. So, without further ado, Mike, you want to get this puppy started?
You have the
All right.
floor, sir, with your top
All right. So,
25.
quick introduction on the top 25. Promise you, quick, 1 minute. In a
I don't
In
believe it.
19 of the last 22 years, the eventual national champion has come from the top 7 of the top 25. However, last season in the AP preseason top 25, 12 of the 25, which is damn near half, didn't finish in the top 25. Of those 12 teams, 5 don't have the same coach any longer. Ooh, and I got one of them in our backyard there down in Florida. The worst drop in that top 25 was Texas. They went from 1 to 12. The ones that had upward mobility, Indiana, they were ranked 20th, finished number 1. And oh, by the way, your Miami Hurricanes were ranked 10th, finished 2. Ole Miss was ranked 21, finished 3rd. So you never freaking know. All those people that make all that money, who knows what's going to happen. Now, 6 of the top 10 did finish in the top 10. So those are some nuggets out there that hopefully you can take home and go, damn, well, this might not be the real deal. But Mike and I probably know more than those soothsayers out there anyway. So, all right. Here we go, Mike. We're going to start with number 25. I have Boise State coming in at 9-3. Think there's a good chance that this team could be the group of 6 representative. I think it's going to come down to them and UNLV. They bring back their quarterback. They got to play Oregon, Memphis on the schedule, but not much else in that Pac-12. Number 24, I have UNLV Rebels. They are at 9-3. Dan the Man Mullen, I think he wins the Mountain West out there and has a good chance of being the representative in the group of 6 playoff person. They bring back a running back. We'll see how Jackson Arnold does at quarterback. Number 23, I have the Tennessee Vols at 8-4. They brought in big gun DC Jim Knowles, who's been at Ohio State and Penn State. We know Heupel's offense is pretty strong, usually about 40 points a game, but we'll see what that defense can do. But right now, the question mark is, who is the quarterback? All right. Number 22, Mike, I've got the Louisville Cardinals at 8-4 in your ACC. Another good coach, Jeff Brom. We love that guy. Man, Isaac Brown, amazing in the backfield, one of the top 5 in the nation. So I look for them to have a pretty good year. Number 21, I got Mike, the Utah Utes at 8-4. Utes bringing back Devin Dampier, 2,400 yards in there, 835 on the ground. The coach in waiting, Morgan Scally, he's been waiting for a minute, and now it's his show. We'll see how he does. I think they'll do okay and get to 21. Number 20, I have the Iowa Hawkeyes, 8-4. Kurt Ferentz, one of the best coaches out there. Can't always get to the top, but they got the money thing, and we'll see how it goes. A little unsure about their offense and the weapons they're going to have there, but I think they'll have a decent year in Iowa. Mike, at number 19, I have the SMU Mustangs coming in at 9-3. We love our Rhett Lashley. I know you're very big and high on him. I'm as well. We got Jennings coming back as quarterback. Should have another great year in the ACC. Couple of tough games: Notre Dame, Louisville, and Virginia Tech. Coming in at number 18, folks, I have the Washington Huskies at 8-4. Washington has a potential star quarterback, Desmond Williams. We all know Lane wanted him down there at LSU, but he didn't get him because guess what? Washington had better lawyers. So they came in and said, Damon, you're staying here in Washington. So I think they're going to have a pretty decent year up there at Washington. Number 17, Mike, I've got the Michigan Wolverines coming in at 8-4. New coach Kyle Whittingham resumes at another really good school. We'll see how Bryce Underwood does. I'm a little underwhelmed. He's going to have to prove it to me that he can make it happen. That's why I've got them at 8-4 and at number 17. Mike, at number 16 at 8-4 as well, I have the Ole Miss Rebels. They got one of the biggest 1-2 punches out there that you can think about, and definitely in the SEC, in Trinidad Chambliss and Kewan Lacey. But what's around them is the concerning part for me, and I'm still not sold on the coach there at Ole Miss. Mike, at number 15, I have the Texas A&M Aggies at 8-4 as well. We'll see what Marcel Reed can do out there, and if he can cut down on interceptions and to move the ball a little bit more. And with 4 O-linemen, protection could be an issue. That's why I've got them at 15, not as high as some of the other folks do. Number 14, Mike, I've got the USC Trojans at 8-4. There's reason, obviously, to be optimistic, and I'll be honest with you, 8-4 is probably not going to make the folks out there in Trojan land real happy. They're expecting a little bit more because at number 14 and 8-4, I don't have them making the playoffs. So not sure that coach is going to make it through. He could be on the hot seat at least after this year if he goes 8-4 and his number 14 doesn't make it in. Mike, at number 13, I have BYU coming in at 10-10. I like the Bear, Bachmeier, LJ Martin, great 1-2 punch out there. We'll see what happens when they got to play Notre Dame on October 17th. Should be a really cool game and very interesting game, and I think that's going to be one of the biggest games of the year. Mike, at number 12, I have Alabama at 9-3, and you notice they're at number 12. So, which means that group of 6 team probably going to sneak in above Alabama. Alabama, for the first time in 18 years, is outside the top 10 of the AP poll. Kalen DeBoer, he's going to miss the playoffs for the second time in 3 seasons. Ooh, it's starting to look like Ray Perkins there, isn't it? It's starting to get scary there in Bama land. All right, Mike, at number 11, and these are the teams that will kind of roll in the playoffs. I have the Oklahoma Sooners coming in at 9-3. I think Mateer's going to be do quite well this year. I mean, he started off really well, then had the injury. There was issues. I think this is a Heisman potential kid that could be that long shot. And a couple of bucks of pizza money on this one might be a good idea. At number 10, because they have the easiest schedule in the Big Ten, I have the Penn State Nittany Lions coming in at 9-3. It's all about the schedule. They played none of the big boys in the Big Ten. Matt Campbell's first year, I like the guy. It's nice that he can come into an easy schedule. He brings 24 of his players from Iowa State, including quarterback Rocco Beck. So they're going to come in at number 10 and get to make the playoff. At number 9, I have LSU coming in at 9-3 as well. They got the quarterback from Arizona State, Sam Levitt. I would say he's probably was number 3 on Lane Kiffin's list, but we'll see how it goes down there. They got offensive coordinator Charlie Weiss, defensive coordinator Blake Baker back from LSU. I think this team makes the playoffs and comes rolling in there at number 9. Mike at number 8. My Ohio State friends aren't going to be happy about it, but they get in the playoff. Doesn't matter. Get in right now. That's all that matters. At 10-2, best receivers in college football. We already know about Jeremiah Smith. He's going to be a Heisman contender. Tied at number 6 for Heisman contention at plus 1,300. They lost Tate, but they got Chris Henry, Brock Boyd, Brandon Ennis, and Devin McCoon. Man, they're stacked at wide receiver. It's going to be a good year at Ohio State. Mike, number 7, I've got the Texas Longhorns coming in at 10-2. Many have them number 1 in the SEC, but they're waning a little bit. I think some of the soothsayers there, but I think they're going to have a decent year. They got another. We got Arch Manning. He's at minus 750 on the Heisman watch. Cam Coleman coming as a receiver. They got Wingo. They got Hollywood Smothers, Raleek Brown in the backfield. They're going to do pretty well on offense, and they've got a good defense as well. So 10-2, Texas at number 7. At number 6, Mike, I have the Indiana Hoosiers coming in at 11-1. Kirk, the new GOAT Cignetti, we know what he's done the last couple of years. Both coordinators are back. Very well-disciplined team, well-coached, and we'll see a little bit more about them here in a minute. But number 6, 11-1. Mike, at number 5, I have your Miami Hurricanes at 11-1. I think they upgraded at quarterback, man, which is awesome for them. Darren Mintz is going to be great. Again, I think he's another one of those Heisman contenders that could do well as at the same time as some of those other guys out there. Mark Fletcher at running back, Barkay, and your big guy at wide receiver. I mean, they're going to be in good shape on the offensive side of the ball. If they can make some changes on defense and some of those guys step up, it's going to be a great year for Miami at 11-1. Number 4, Mike, I've got Notre Dame coming in at 11-1. Number 4, again, all about the schedule. If they lose 2 games, they're in trouble. But they've got to be 11-1, or they're not going to be ranked up there. I promise you that, because their schedule is super easy. Quarterback, he's the leading contender there in the Heisman race at plus 750. They got the best secondary in football, an easy damn schedule. So I got them at number 4 and 11-1. Mike, another team with an easy schedule. Number 3, Texas Tech. I've got them at 11-1. This one's all about the Benjamins, man. Those Texas teams have locked in some oil money, and this is one of them. They've got the super easy schedule. They play Houston and Arizona State. Those are like the only chance maybe they lose. They could easily go 12-0 and roll into the playoffs, but I don't think they last very long in the playoffs. Mike, at number 2, I have the Georgia Bulldogs, 11-1. This team's got another Heisman hopeful in Gunnar Stockton. A lot of people don't think a lot of it. I think he's about plus 1,100 right now. I think folks are going to be in Athens are going to be real happy about that defense. I think defense is going to be back. 13 of 18 defenders with 200-plus snaps coming in. Georgia gave up 10 or fewer points in 7 games last year, and they played a bunch of youngsters. They got Gunner coming in. They got a great backfield, one of the best in the SEC. I look for them to win the SEC, number 2 at 11-1. Mike, at number 1 through the season and the the conference games, I've got the Oregon State Ducks coming in at 11-1 as well. This is the best defensive line in football. Tackles Washington, Barry Alexander. I mean, they do a great job defensive end. Ungile and Tuioti are going to pile up the sacks, man. They are going to make it happen on offense. And then, of course, when you got Dante Moore back there, those receivers, amazing. Running backs, amazing. They got one of the best rosters in football. So I've got them number one at 11-1. And that's my top 25, Mike.
I love it, Dave. I love it. Before I break down my top 25, mine's going to be quick. Mine's going to be very quick, but I just wanted to mention shopcya.com. If you haven't already, go ahead and check them out. Get those assets covered for the season. When you go into any of these games, you got to have a clear plastic bag. When you go through security, they got to check everything out. But when you get through security, you don't want everybody looking at that stuff when you're walking around the stadium watching the game. You're there to cheer. You're there to get rowdy. You don't want to be worrying about your security. You just snap the cover right back on. Fully covered. Assets are covered. You're fully protected from any wandering eyes. Make sure to check them out. ShopCYA.com if you haven't already. Fully licensed. Have pretty much every FBS team you can imagine. So go check out yours today. All right. Again, I'm going to run through mine pretty quickly with this top 25 so we can get on to the fun stuff with the playoff and the Heismans. UTSA, I have coming in at 25. The Roadrunners at 10-2. Arizona Wildcats, I got at 24 at 9-3. Oh, I really wanted to point out real quick, though, as well. Ian in the chat asked where Florida State was. Yeah, it's they are going to be missing from my top 25 as well there, Ian. I apologize to say. Same with those Gators as well, yes. And Rudy made a comment about Tennessee. You will not see Tennessee on my top 25, unfortunately. So let me carry on here. SMU, I got at 9-3. Louisville, I got at 9-3, coming in at 22. Clemson Tigers, I got them at 21 at 9-3 as well. At number 20, we got the South Carolina Gamecocks at 9-3. I think they have a good season under Lenora Sellers. They got some speed still out there on the outside at wide receiver. I think they do something this year. NC State at, what is that? 22, 21. NC State at 19. I got them at quick math there. 10-2. I think CJ Bailey, the quarterback, we talked about all of these teams through all of our conference previews. We spent extensive time breaking down every one of these teams. So if you want any further breakdown, go back and watch some of these. But NC State, I believe, is going to have a big year and surprise some folks. Michigan coming in at 9-3 at 18. LSU, I think they're a year or two away from Lane Kiffin really putting his stamp on this program. I got them at 9-3 at 17. Alabama 9-3 at 16. BYU 10-2 at 15. Utah 10-2 at 14. And Houston 10-2 at 13. Houston's another one of those teams that I think is going to be flying a little bit under the radar here and surprise some people. But do look out for the Cougars. All right, let's get to the good stuff. My final 12 going into the playoff. My group of 6 team at number 12 is going to be those Boise State Broncos. I got them going 11-1. They open at Oregon. I think that's going to be their only loss of the year. We talked to them about who they play in the Pac-12. Absolute cakewalk for that team. They will be relevant. Texas A&M, I got them at 11, 10-2. I believe in Elko at head coach. I think another year under there, he's got something to prove. Quarterback as well. I believe in what he can do. The way they ended their season last year against Miami at home, weren't really able to do much of anything on offense. I think they bounce back here. Penn State, you mentioned as a playoff team as well. I also have them at 10-2. I think they get in. James Franklin is gone. Mr. Big Game is no longer there. Matt Campbell coming in, bringing a bunch of his Iowa State guys. Again, a pretty easy schedule for them when it's all said and done. I think they get in at 10-2. Ole Miss, I have them coming in at 10-2 as well at the number 9 seed under Trinidad Chambliss and their running back. I think they bounce back this year. A little bit of a chip on their shoulder, a little bit of something to prove. Again, also circle that game on their schedule when LSU comes to town in Oxford, Mississippi. That is going to be a good one. Miami, I have them. Got to take my bias out of it. I got them at number 8, 10-2. I think they stumble against Notre Dame, and I think they stumble against somebody else that they have no business doing. It's just what we do. Number 7, I got Ohio State. You mentioned Julian Sayin, Jeremiah Smith. They got quite the offense up there, and they're going to have quite the defense. Ryan Day is a hell of a coach. He will have them ready to go. He will have them back in this playoff. Oklahoma is another one of my surprise teams this year. I have them going 11-1 behind a healthy John Mateer. He had a busted up hand all of last year. He probably shouldn't have been playing in some of those games that he did, but he tried to tough it out for his team. And I think that actually really hurt his squad. I think him being healthy, Venables has another year to get that defense put together. I think they have a big year this year. At number 5, got to go Indiana, the reigning champs, 11-1. Cignetti's going to have this team ready to roll. I think the only one that they may stumble against is probably Ohio State, but they will be back in the playoffs. Texas Tech, you mentioned, absolute cakewalk there in the Big 12, 12-0. The absolute floor for this team is going to be 10 wins. I think 10 wins is probably enough to get them into the playoff, but I have them going undefeated and finding their way into one of those top 4 seeds. Oregon Ducks at 11-1, I got them at 3. Georgia 11-1, I got them at 2. And then you mentioned Notre Dame 12-0. I think they're just going to run through everybody, including my Hurricanes, when we go up there to South Bend. They don't play anybody. They've been gifted an absolute handout this year when it comes to the playoff. They just have to be within the top 12 top-ranked teams, and they are automatically given a berth. So that's my 25. I do want to point out something that's interesting about this year's rules in terms of the playoff before we start breaking that down. As the 1 seed, not only will the top 4 seeds get a bye, but if you are the 1 seed, you get to pick where your second round game is going to be played. So among those bowl games, I believe it's Rose Bowl, Sugar Bowl, just to name a few, they get to pick the location of where they want to play that game. And if they make it into the semifinal game, which is the 3rd round, they also get to pick the location of that game. So you could be looking at a team that lays it out really nicely for their fan base, travel purposes. That's going to be something that strategically is going to be interesting to look at once we kind of get to that point of the year. So I did want to point out some of those new rule changes. It's a little atrocious, in my opinion, a little ridiculous, but it is, in fact, the rules. So, all right, moving on here to the playoffs. So we're going to talk our Final 4 and who we think is going to break down when it's all said and done between these 12 teams that we have, who's left in those semifinal games, as well as champion. Dave, I will let you take the floor here.
So, Mike, here's what I have. And I'm sitting here contemplating the order at which I would put them in. But since we're going to give the final 2, I'm not going to put them in order. So my final 4 are the Oregon Ducks, the Georgia
Careful.
Bulldogs.
That's a bold one right there.
Yeah, that'd have been interesting. Oregon, Georgia, Notre Dame, Indiana. Those are my 4 teams that I think are in the basically in the semis. And if you think about the whole number 1 thing, and you look at where the where those bowls are. I mean, Georgia, if Georgia's there, obviously they could get an advantage playing playing in Atlanta. But most of these other teams, I mean, if Indiana's in, they could play in India. Is there one in Indianapolis? No, there's not one in Indianapolis. No. So I don't know how much of an advantage. Obviously, from a travel perspective, that's probably where I go if I'm a coach. But those are my 4 teams. All right. In the championship game, as we can see right there, I have the Georgia Bulldogs going against the Oregon Ducks, and the winner national title, as much as I hated, the hated rival, the Georgia Bulldogs winning it all this year. Miguel?
Yeah, so I mean, something that I considered in terms of kind of how these teams are going to go second round, third round, semifinal, is going to be that location, especially for that one seed. So something that I thought about outside of necessarily the travel of location for team and whatnot. If you know what team you're going against, it almost behooves you to
Make it hard for
screw
them.
screw them
Yeah, make it
essentially.
hard for them.
So, so
Yeah.
situation wise, you could have Notre Dame and Miami per se, who I think are going to play in the second round as the 1 and the 8 seed. You could have them going out to the Rose Bowl, which Notre Dame's fans are going to travel. They have a huge fan base. They would pack that stadium out. They're going to pack any stadium that they go in out. Whereas Miami, is as a private school, they only have about 15,000 students on campus at any given time. Much lower alumni base, a lot harder to kind of go cross country all the way out to Cali, spend that money. So I think that's something that psychologically is, when I say strategically and psychologically later on in the year, I think there's going to be a lot of factors that come into that. And we'll see some of those things play out and play. But for my second round matchups, I do have Notre Dame playing Miami in a rematch of the regular season game. I think Miami gets their get back on a neutral site. I mentioned that I think Notre Dame will beat us in the regular season up in South Bend, but you lace them up on a neutral site, and I think we might get them. It's hard to beat a team twice in a row in 1 year. Second round as well, I got Georgia, ended up playing Ohio State, Oregon playing Oklahoma, and Texas Tech playing Indiana. For the semis, I got Indiana going against, for my Final Four, it's going to be Georgia, Oregon, Indiana, and Miami. So we got 3 out of the 4 that were like-minded there. You just have Notre Dame going in over Miami, which is perfectly acceptable in my eyes. For those matchups, you're going to have Indiana versus Miami in a rematch of the national championship, which would be awesome to see. And then we're going to have Georgia going against Oregon, who's arguably 2 of the top 3 teams, if not the best teams this year. So that would be an epic matchup as well. I do have Georgia advancing past Oregon, and I have Miami advancing past Indiana in that rematch for the same reason that you mentioned. We upgraded at QB, and in my opinion, they downgraded. So I think we'd be able to get our get back there. And then this right here, this matchup, Dave, Georgia-Miami in the championship. It would be in Vegas. And I think I would have to sell one of my toes to get to that game. Okay? If they play Georgia in the national championship, I gotta go. And I actually do think we have the deeper team and the more experienced team than Georgia. We talked about Georgia during our SEC conference preview. One of the younger teams in the nation. Very talented, but one of the younger teams. Whereas you have a Miami who's done it a little bit last year. They went and played in these hard locations at Texas A&M, played out west against Ole Miss, obviously played in the championship against Indiana. I think that, with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder at getting back and finishing the job, would be enough to put them over the edge and over those Bulldogs to secure that 6th national championship. First time in 25 years.
I can tell you someone that if you do that, if you end up going and give away one of your toes, I know somebody that's now gonna be coming to Atlanta that would.
I think we'd have to get a group. We'd have to get a group with the amount of Georgia fans that we know. Those obnoxious Georgia fans. We'd have to. We'd have to figure it out.
Hindu, where's Hindu?
Have to figure it out.
Yeah. True that. It could be a caravan for sure. All right.
That's right.
Should we wrap it up with Heisman hopefuls?
Let's do it. Let's get to it.
Let's do the Heisman hopefuls. So, I talked a little while ago about one, but I don't have him in my top 3. So we're only doing top 3. So my top 3 Heisman hopefuls are many that are in this playoff that Mike has flashed up here. I have Dante Moore. I have Darren Mensah, and I have Gunnar Stockton. And I have my winner, yes, a long shot in Minnie's mind at right now at plus 1,000. You better believe pizza's going on that one. Gunnar Stockton winning the Heisman. I know that's going to surprise some folks, but I think they're going to play that well this year, and he's going to make it happen. So that's where I am, Mike.
Yeah, and I agree with you on Dante Moore. I think he's going to be hard to keep out, especially if he has a 30 touchdown season, less than 10 interceptions. Oregon finishes in the top 3. Really hard to keep somebody like that out of it. CJ Carr, who's the current Heisman favorite, you mentioned at plus 750. I do think he is, if he leads that Notre Dame program to an undefeated season, even a one-loss season like you have them going, I think there's no way that he does not get an invite there. A little bit of favoritism also towards the Irish, so I think that's going to play a factor when it comes to the media, and I do think he ends up winning it all. But an honorable mention, I am going to say John Mateer. If he can stay healthy, that guy is an extreme.
Remember, that was the one I said. I couldn't remember.
That
yes,
guy
absolutely.
is an extreme
money on him.
Extreme dark horse threat. I believe, if I remember correctly, I think he's like plus 2,800 right now. So definitely something to sprinkle some extra pizza money on there for sure. I think he's definitely going to be one of those finalists. If he leads Oklahoma to a 10-win, 11-win season, I think there's no way that they leave him out because he's going to have a fantastic year in order for them to do that. So those are our Heisman hopefuls. Those are our top 25 teams. Those are our playoff and national championship contenders. We really appreciate everybody who has watched all of our shows so far. We've done 10 conference preview shows at this point leading up to this season. Next week is week 0. We will be back live next Wednesday at 8 p.m. To give you our 6 week 0 teams, as well as one bonus for our podcast listeners. One game from the week 1 slate that we'll throw in there as a little bonus for our podcast people. But we appreciate y'all watching. Make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. Hit those bell notifications so you don't miss anything. NFL preview shows will start tomorrow. We're going to talk the AFC Conference with Steel City Scott. Following up next Thursday, it'll be the NFC Conference, leading us up to that final week before the first week of NFL, where we'll be breaking down some of those end-of-season awards, Rookie of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Years, MVPs, Super Bowl winners, who we kind of have prediction there. So make sure to tune in with myself and Steel City Scott for those. And last but not least, for our podcast people, we will be signing off. But for our YouTube watchers, we're going to do a little bit of a draft order randomizer with some duck racing here, Dave. So little fun feature here at the end for all of our fantasy football goers. We appreciate y'all hopping in the chat, and we'll be able to get that rolling to see where our draft order is lining up for this Sunday.
Awesome. Thanks to everybody that was in the chat. Thanks for all the YouTube folks. Thanks to the podcast folks that are listening. Remember to like, subscribe, hit that bell so you know when we're rolling on. We appreciate everybody that's been on tonight, everybody listening, and man, we look forward to next Wednesday finally getting to talk some turkey, for that first game on August 29th, Saturday in Dublin, Ireland. So looking forward to that for sure. Now the most important part of the evening, Mike.
That's right.
Shall you roll to the Ducks?
That's right. We shall. Thank you again for our podcast people. We will catch you next week. Have a good one. All right, Dave. The time is here. Let's see if my technological prowess is what I think it is. The Ducks have arrived, gentlemen. The time has come. I will shuffle the characters for those in the chat as they think that there is conspiracy. We will do it 2 more times for a nice odd number of 3. Ducks, at your mark. In 3, 2, 1, go. We're off to the races here. Rudy with an outstanding lead to start us. Followed in the rear by a plethora of ducks. We got Scott as Super Duck. Will in second place currently. Charles leading the back of the pack. Robert with a little bit of, looks like a Russian get up, sneaking up there to the front.
God.
Jared in his
Not
dinosaur
good.
onesie down there at the bottom, current in first place. We got 25 seconds here left in the race.
Oh,
Lot
my
of
gosh.
movement.
Not
Lot of
good.
movement happened. Lot of movement
Not
current.
good.
Little bit of fallback. Oh, Dave's stumbling back. We got Charles. Charles heading from the back of the pack. He's in first with his sword. Zorro. Rudy's sneaking back up to the front. He's going back for his first place. We got 3 seconds left on the clock. Who's it going to be? Ian G. With the first overall pick, we have Ian G getting it. What an absolute stunner of a race. Couldn't have asked for a better one here going into this fantasy football season. Thank you everyone for watching. What a beautiful show. We'll go ahead and throw the standings here up for everybody so they know where they stand. We had Ian G finishing in first, Matt at second, Charles in third, Rudy in fourth, Dave at number 5th, Ian C, newcomer to the league, getting number 6, Scott, Steel City Scott that is, who was the champion last year. I have to give credit where credit is due, coming in at 7th. Nate coming back into the league after a few years away from retirement, coming in at 8th. Will we got at 9th. Unfortunately, I am down there at 10th. Robert is 11th. And Jared in his dinosaur onesie pulling out the pack at number 12. Thank you again to everybody who watched our show. We really appreciate y'all hopping in. It's going to be a great season. Definitely come back and hop in the chat. We love to see it. We love to hear from you. Thank y'all again, and we will see you tomorrow for the NFL show and next Wednesday for Week 0 college football.